Stepdaughter says she hates me and wished I'd get COVID so I wouldn't be around anymore. I am not op. Original post by you, Raidwaldrex in R, Stepparents. And NBSP. Stepdaughter says she hates me and wished I'd get COVID so I wouldn't be around anymore. 5. January 2021. Sorry. Long first post but want to get it off my chest. So I have a stepdaughter who is 14. I've been with her mother since she was 4. She doesn't see her biological father at all. His choice. And he has played no role in her life. I'm the only father figure she's really had other than her grandfather. We used to be fairly close. Up until she was around 12 or so, and then it was like someone had flipped a switch. She's constantly disrespectful, says hurtful things like she wishes I was dead, and even goes to great lengths to avoid seeing me or being near me. She is only ever nice to me if I have something she needs or wants. Like money or if I'm making her food or something. So her school called our house phone today to see how she was and made sure she had all she needed to do her schoolwork as we are back in lockdown. She bought the phone back into me after the call and I asked if everything was okay. We had a semi-normal conversation for a change until she said she wanted to go back to school. I told her she couldn't as her mom is extremely vulnerable and if she got COVID and passed it to her she would get extremely ill. SD. If I passed it to you would you survive? Me. I don't know. SD. Well, I hope you get it and don't. Then you wouldn't be around anymore. I've spoken to my wife repeatedly about the things she says and she has spoken to her, but the response she gets is that my stepdaughter hates me and always has, and any time she's been with me. Like when I took her to the football or went out geocaching with her. She was faking enjoying spending time with me. And all those times in the past when she said she wants to call me Dad were fake too. It breaks my heart. I feel like I've done something to change her view of me, but I don't know what is. She won't say. She won't give a reason why she says she hates me, and she always has. I tend to stay out of her way to avoid it all, which makes me sad and causes tension with my wife sometimes. Is this normal behavior? My wife says it's normal teen girl lashing out behavior, but even her friends have pulled her up on it when they've been round in the past and heard what she says to me. I tend to let it slide mostly, but that COVID thing, that was harsh. Edit. So this has blown up way more than I expected. Thanks for all the responses. There is much for us to look into. Much to my surprise, she's decided to spend the evening with us playing a board game with just me and my wife, which is good as it's allowed us to have a proper chat. My wife has got her to apologize. And I told her how much that stuff hurts me. We've gone through some stuff briefly and she is very anxious about school, her life, where she fits in the world. We think she may have anxiety as she's over worrying about things she shouldn't be and things she thought we'd be mad about but aren't really. Her choice of partner and what she wants to focus on exams wise. I've just told her I want her to be happy and whatever she chooses to do I'll support her. Edit 2. Incidentally, I'd recommend the game, Whereas Moldova, brilliant board game. Not quite up there with Zombicide, but we like it. And NBSP. An update from my original post about SD wanting me to get COVID the 16th of February 2021. Hello all. You may have seen my previous post about the issues I was having with my stepdaughter. Well, I didn't know where to put this, but just had to put it out there. So yesterday I took my youngest, my biological son, to the park, and much to my surprise she wanted to come too. Cue the following conversation. SD. Can I tell you something? Me. Yes. Of course. SD. You do know I don't actually hate you, right? Just wanted you to know that. Me. Thanks for telling me. I love you too. I feel so happy now. We are in such a better place and it's a load off. Her general attitude around me is much better. And I think now she knows I'm there for her. For good. It has helped. Just wanted to post this somewhere as it's brightened lockdown up so much knowing that. For anyone else, stick at it. Step parenting is so hard, but it's worth it in the end. And NBSP. Reminder, I am not the original poster. Teenagers can lash out, and COVID did a real number on many people's psyche. It wouldn't surprise me if the SD was understandably losing her mind due to be confined to the house due to COVID, not seeing her friends and feeling left out. She needed someone to lash out at, and stepdad was the easiest target. Doesn't make her actions right, but at least they are more understandable when viewed through that lens. Oh, the teenage years. They make the terrible twos look like a dream. Teenagers are by design full of anger and rebellion towards their parents. It's a thing that exists to encourage kids to start becoming independent so they can find their own tribe, so to speak. Doesn't mean it's okay to say what she said. Parent accordingly. But also know that it is not nearly as personal as it feels. Being a teenager is hard as hell. And I'm glad Oop is a loving parental figure for her during this time. Teenagers went through so much during COVID and lockdowns, and really did get overlooked. They're at an age where they have a lot of understanding and emotions, but without the maturity to really see where it all stems from. I'm glad she moved on from this stage, but she and her family all really need to take a hard look at where it came from and her coping mechanisms. Name a more iconic duo than teens and their extemporaneous shouts that usually don't mean but are signs about something else. I still cringe at all the words I just said to my parents. I am so glad there was no wish genie for my teenage self, 'cause I was so vindictive. I'm glad she offered that info up to you. It had to make you feel good. I just wonder if she had a friend who was dealing with a step-parent whose love was conditional on how she behaved. Your stepdaughter may have decided to push you away before you could stop loving her. Your consistent love and acceptance of her may have eventually convinced her that this was not the case in her case. Keep on being yourself. Sounds like you are doing a great job with her. Yeah. My ass would have been grass if I ever said something like that to either of my parents' partners. Wishing death on someone? It wouldn't have been taken lightly. In my family, my kids hit puberty during COVID. Would not recommend. I am so far from teenage angst that can't fathom that they are anxious about parents being mad about choice of exam, and yet seemingly don't think a parent could feel some kind of way about being told they should die, especially if her own friends are saying she's crossing a line. But in my old ignorance, I assuming that the mean comments are the girls expressing anger about life and unconsciously testing the resiliency of the bond with the stepfather. But man, they must cut like a knife, and I think it's okay for parents to properly express that. Kids shouldn't get the idea that someone loving you means you can treat them any kind of way. Now that I'm older, I look back at myself at 13 and 14 and wonder why my mother didn't take me up to the top of a cliff and throw me off. I redefined surly. I once wrote a letter to my grandmother. We lived overseas. This was the dark ages, where I explained to her exactly why everyone in my family was a jerk except me. I can imagine her laughing so hard at that letter. I make it a matter of policy never to be insulted by anything said to me by anyone younger than 17. Infants, toddlers, and small children never intend to insult anyone. Older kids and tweens get no response from me for acting out. And teenagers can't help themselves. They're teenagers and will age out of it. No, she needs therapy. Being a rebellious hormonal teenager is one thing, but wishing death on a parent is another. That's not normal teenage behavior. As a non-American reading on Reddit, it often looks like teenage asshole rebellion is completely natural. But it isn't? There is no way I could have said that to any of my family without having to face immense consequences way beyond a stern talking. And that's one of the reasons why I or my siblings never did. Teenagers don't have to be assholes to their parents. None of my friends were either. She sounds incredibly unstable, even for a 14-year-old. I'm so glad this turned around for them. Yes, teens can lash out and hurt loved ones. Doesn't make it acceptable or hurt any less. Yep. She's angry and feeling unworthy and pushing him away to see if he keeps coming back. It's a test basically. My daughter does it all the time. And I did the same to my mother. My mother's answer was, "I love you anyway and always will. So you're wasting your breath." And now I say the same to my angry teen. I know she doesn't mean it. Because I didn't. And I know how much it matters that my mother loves me even when I'm awful. It's made me absolutely confident that she'll always have my back. Because she still loves me at my worst weirdly. The kids that are angry at home tend to be better behaved elsewhere. I'm constantly being told how kind and thoughtful and quiet my kid is. Not for me, she isn't. She saves me all the attitude. I suppose it means she doesn't need to vent at school. Whatever though. She's awesome. I love her deeply. And it pains me to see her so miserable. If I could fix being teenage for her, I would. It's damn hard for both of us. Thanks, this is great. This may have been said in an earlier response. But since she has been rejected by her birth father, she may be trying to push you away to a test you, or b. distance herself so, when you reject her also, it hurts less. This is textbook behavior for kids dealing with the trauma of not knowing their biological parent. There were many examples of behavior just like this in the courses I've taken in preparation for adoption. Even the sudden flip of a switch is very typical. The daughter is taking out the frustration and anger on her adoptive dad. She told them some normal teen things that caused her behavior. But from the mom's conversation with the daughter, there's an undercurrent where she's projecting any number of things she feels about her bio dad on her adoptive dad. Like the feeling that he might just decide one day to abandon her. 2. She doesn't really hate him, as she later tells him directly. Which is an appropriate, mature thing to do for a 14-year-old. Adoptive dad seems to think she feels a lot more secure and positively toward him after seeing how he reacted and knowing he's not going anywhere and will always support her. The parents did a great job dealing with this. It's good that I'm not a parent. Because I don't think I could take this all on the chin. I don't mean that I'd lash out. But I'd turn cold. Avoid her as much as possible. And if she said, "You do know I don't actually hate you, right?" I'd have to respond with, "No. I don't know that. It's good I'm not a parent because I'm clearly not fit for the job." When I was a teenager, I said absolutely atrocious things to my parents. I made my mom cry in the middle of store once because of my vitriol. I was such a hormonal, emotional mess that time. Thank God for great parents like you and my parents who stand through the tough times.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.